Hi. Cricket, like any other sport, has its own share of controversies. Welcome to Turf Talk on TNTmirror.tv and I am Ramraj. Today in our studios we have veteran cricket commentator Padma Shri Professor Ravi Chaturvedi aka Panditji. Sir, welcome to TNTmirror.tv.
Thank you, Mr. Ramraj. Well, it's always a pleasure to be in the studios here and particularly talk and write to contribute to the columns in Trinity Mirror. I always feel at home here.
Sir, now cricket has, like any other sport we have seen, has its own share of controversy starting from the bodyline series to spot fixing even in the IPL. So, as a commentator who has almost seen the growth of cricket for the last 50 years, so what are your opinions going back from the bodyline? Can you share your opinions and views with?
Well, Mr. Ramraj, in fact, talking about the courting of the controversies by cricket, the cricket was born in controversies itself. The cricket historians are not very sure which day the test cricket started, because it is recorded that the first test between Australia and England started on 15th of March 1877. But there is an opinion that maybe it started on 16th. So look, the beginning itself is controversial, but they somehow settle it to 15th finally. I mean, if you go through the history, you'll find all these things there. Then, you see, as it's not only cricket. I think when the things start growing, then the methodology and the mannerism in the sports come. They suppose I'll go back to hockey. In fact, when Dhyan Chand was at his prime, and he was for every second he could score a goal, people thought that there is a magnet in his stick. It was tested for it whether there was a magnet or not. So same thing happened to Don Bradman. He was a run-making machine, and imagine in one series he makes 2 triple centuries. So the England got very worried because there was no way to stop him, and their bowlers were hit all over the ground. So Douglas Jardine, he was a governor in Bombay for a while, and then he was a ardent cricket fan, and he, along with their fast bowlers, 2 fast bowlers, of course there were 3, that is Larwood, then Vose and Allen. They devised a series that they will keep on attacking Bradman on the leg stump, and there will be an arc of fielders on the leg side. There were hardly 3 fielders on the off side. There are 7 fielders on the leg side, so that if there is a miss hit, if he tries to hook, and if it's a miss, he's caught. And if they play in the body, if they hit him on the rib cage, and if he plays, then they could be caught in the short leg, in the arc of the short legs. Now this worked. I mean, there were people who were hurt. There was a blood which was flowing on the holy turf. But Bradman was not hurt. Anyway, that's a secondary story. But the main part, coming back to the main part of the story, there was a lot of hullabaloo. The Australian press, the Australian public, they were very hostile, and they all booed Larwood and Douglas Jardine, their captain. In fact, a situation came. A cable was sent to MCC that they should stop this, otherwise the series will be cancelled. The controversy did not remain only up to cricket. It came to a situation where there was a danger of breaking of diplomatic relation between Australia and United Kingdom. Anyway, the MCC intervened, and then Jardine was instructed not to resort to bodyline bowling. But by the time it was more or less coming to an end, though later on, I mean, the wiser senses prevailed in the corridors of the MCC, and Jardine was castigated for it. And the anti-climax of this was that the man who was responsible for bodyline series, that is Larwood, he went and settled down in Australia. So that was the beginning of the controversy, the biggest controversies that cricket has courted ever. But there's not much talk about it. The controversy again erupted, if you remember, when the Clive Lloyd team became the world beaters, they became the world champions. I think as a club level cricketer, there was no strategy which Clive Lloyd had to evolve. He had the best of the openers, he had the best of the batsmen like Viv Richards, and he has four great fast bowlers. Only thing he had to rotate them, hand it over to Andy Robert, to Michael Holding. When they are tired, give it to Colin Croft, and then Joel Garden, the big bird.
Yeah,
So all that he has to do. And what was happening? They were all targeting the rib cage of the batsman. And that's where they became, there was little, I mean, when in England, Michael Holding was a great success against Tony Greig. There's a famous remark of Tony Greig that we will beat them, and then it was like a, foot in the mouth utterance of Tony Greig when West Indies beat them hollow. And that series also, there was a lot of, blood spitting. When we were, I'm an eyewitness to same thing at Sabina Park in Jamaica in 1976. The West Indies had already lost the series in Australia 5-1 under Clive Lloyd. They were thrashed by the Australians with Dennis Lillee and Jeff Thompson, the two great speedsters, fast bowlers. When they came to West Indies, they won the first test. Second test, India could have won, but our two great fielders, they clashed and they spilled an easy catch of Clive Lloyd. By the time West Indies had already lost 8 wickets, and last 40 minutes, the last two batsmen defied the Indian attack. We came back for the third test, and historical 403 runs were chased, and India made 406 and won the match by 6 wickets. This happened in Test cricket after Don Bradman's invincible team of 1948. The series was 1-1. Clive Lloyd knew that if he lost the Jamaica Test, he will be out as a captain, losing 2 successive series. So they left a ridge. I have never seen a ball fly at that height. I mean, imagine a wicketkeeper, Drake Murray, who was a short statured. I mean, he had all the problems collecting the balls. And a batsman like Vishwanath, you have to make him stand on a stool and even then play. So such was the bounce on the wicket. And 4 of your batsmen were hurt. And we ultimately surrendered because Bishan didn't want the bowlers to get hurt. So he closed the innings before we could overtake the West Indies first inning total. So this was same tactics, same spilling of the blood, but it didn't get that publicity as the Bodyline series of Don Bradman got into. And this has been happening over the years.
And sir, now sorry to interrupt you, but this tactics of the West Indies, like you mentioned Clive Lloyd, was it something like he followed the same bodyline tactic, and did he somewhere think that should be the best way to contain batsmen of the world, even though they lost to Australia?
You see, the major concern was, or the main aim was, to win at all cost. I mean, there is a code of conduct, which is an unwritten code of conduct in the gentleman's game as the cricket is known, which is that you will not resort to unfair tactics. Intimidatory bowling is also an unfair tactics. Unfortunately, at that time, there was no law. I mean, it was only a sort of a convention, and if it depended on the captain whether you followed it or not. So it's only later on to curb these instincts that now you have a limitation. You can't bowl more than 2 bouncers and over, and every time umpire gives you a signal that you have already bowled one. And in all formats of the game, this is being enforced. So this was only to curb the short pitch bowling or aiming the rib cage of the batsman.
But in those days, the equipment was also very...
I wanted to come to it. Yeah.
So those days they didn't have all that. Today, a cricketer, when he goes to the field, it's like going to a battlefield. He's almost covered from the head to toe.
He looks like a gladiator. Yeah. You know, in good old days, if you look at the epic battles of Mahabharata and all, you see that they were all clad in everything right from head to the toe. Same thing here now in cricket. And imagine the good old days when Sunil Gavaskar was playing. Hats off to this great batsman. I mean, he never had a helmet. He never had this arm guard. All that he had, the pad, the normal guard and the gloves, and that's all, and the cap. Today you are covered right from the head. And imagine why I say he is a great batsman. The best of the fast bowler all over the world, every country had a battery of fast bowlers, whether it was England, whether it was West Indies, whether it was, and West Indies, you know, they were four, not four.
And even Pakistan also.
Imran, Sarfaraz, they were there.
Yeah.
Then England had Botham and Bob Willis.
Yeah.
Even New Zealand had a medium pacer like Richard Hadley, but he was very accurate, bowling in corridors.
Yeah.
So that is where Sunil Gavaskar is great.
Then from the Bodyline series, then we came on to the Kerry Packer, which was, instead of a controversy, considered as a rebellion of sorts. So how would you also sort of club it on controversies and sort of how it took or changed the game of cricket?
Yes, Kerry Packer, well, his entry into cricket was, I would say, that was certainly a rebel. I mean, whatever were the established norms, he went against the set traditions of the game. And he lured the top cricketers of the world by money, because at that time there was not so much of money in international cricket. There was money, but not so much. So, but he provided them a big purse, and they were lured by it. But his other contribution, that is the cricket, which was Test cricket, which was down the hill, people were not so much interested, the fast-paced life in the post-war era. So the people were getting away from sport, and in England particularly, they were more shifting towards football, soccer. So Kerry Packer's entry was, after it was recognized by International Cricket Council that they should have a format which should be shorter, where result-oriented. That way, and then the night cricket, when people finish their day's work and relax, come and watch cricket. This was a big revolution, I would say. But certainly it was a controversy, because all top players left the establishment and they went to rebel. And that is where the cricket world was, shaken. And that's why they call it a rebel series. But you see, after all, whoever is in administration and whoever is in establishment, you will learn by the mistakes. And then in the wake of this, but England already they had experimented with the limited over cricket. So it became a major part of the component of international cricket calendar, where they incorporated one-day cricket, which started with the 1975 World Cup, then the T20 and so on. So all the short format is the result of the controversy created by the Packer.
Yeah. See, other thing which a major controversy kind, which is still sort of rocking the cricket world, is what we call as match fixing or spot fixing. And we have victims like Hansi Cronje, South Africa, and India we had Mohammad Azharuddin and other players, which seems to have a big bearing on cricket and the way things are changed. Like today, players are not allowed to have mobile phones, they're not supposed to contact. So what are your opinion, take on this match fixing, spot fixing issue?
Look, the lure of money is one thing which shakes everybody. It's this gentleman's game, as it's known as. When players were shown a door, and this door, when it was opened, they saw stacked money, fully stacked, and they fell for it. They forgot all the norms, they forgot everything, and they thought that they could earn money that was an easy way of earning money and augmenting their income and so on and so forth. After all, they knew that this life as a cricketer is a short one, and whatever you can collect and whatever you can augment is the best time for you. But at the same time, it was very sickening. If you ask me today, in the aftermath, in the wake of the match fixing, which started with the Hansi Cronje, which was caught on telephone, Mohammad Azharuddin, the Pakistanis have been involved right from the beginning. There were not only one or two, there were many of them who were already involved, and they have been, like Asif Iqbal. Yeah. He was the kingpin, and then Salim Malik, they were all kingpin of fixing. So the authorities woke up, but they woke up late. In fact, there were charges against the Australians also. You know what most of these boards or ICC were doing? They fined $200, $100 and put everything under the carpet. That is where, in the beginning itself, ICC and the board should have been strict. They should have banned the players, which they didn't do. And with the result, if you don't nip the evil in the bud stage, then it sprouts, and that's what happened in cricket. And it proliferated. They thought, okay, you have banned the match fixing, the bouquets were banned and blah, blah, blah. But they found out a way. They started spot fixing. Now, what was that? I'm not trying to tell any, let me not take names of the players or the country.
Yeah.
Some players are not very rich, they come from a very modest background. And when this is so much of foreign currency in England, and when they calculate it in terms of their home currency, they feel it's a big money for them. So they said, who's going to watch? They will not. So they agreed to spot fixing. Finally, it was caught. So again, they were banned. But I would say, I do not agree. I don't know what you feel about it. Once you commit a suicide, once you commit an offense, it's a criminal thing.
Yes.
You are playing a gentleman's game. You would ban him for 5 years. What do you mean by 5 years? Ban him for life.
Yeah.
Let the message go strong that once you do it, that's the end of your career. You ban him for 5 years, they come back again. Who knows that they may fix it in another way. So that's my very humble suggestion, that once you are caught, you should be banned for life.
But this controversy doesn't seem to die down. Like very recently, we had IPL teams also being banned for the same charge of spot fixing. But despite ICC and the boards trying to stem this rot, somewhere there is some loophole and weaknesses. How do we get over this and now, as you said, get back to the gentleman's game, whatever format it is in?
Well, Mr. Ramraj, IPL, that's what the people feel. IPL is the bed of corruption. You see, it is not only the players, the franchisee, they have been caught in match fixing. So when the owners of the clubs are involved in such short-circuited arrangements of fixing the game, you are supposed to entertain the people, but you are entertaining through wrong methods. So therefore, in IPL also, today the things have become so bad that people feel any match you see, whether it's an international match, if there's sudden change, the people say, start doubting, they feel. They raise a question mark, they ask, sir, wasn't that match fixed? You do not know inside story. Now this doubt, because of the fixing, the doubt always, keeps on agitating your mind that match could have been fixed. There may not be obvious circumstances in which you can conclude that it's fixed, but there is always a doubt lingering largely in your mind. Last but not the least, I would like to say on this, look, again, why this is happening? Again, because we are not taking enough stringent measures to curb it. That's number one. Number two, ICC and the cricket boards, they are more busy making money. They are busy collecting money rather than providing an honest path to the game, which should be there. They are not. These are not the sufficient measures to correct the evil which has crept up into the system. Last but not the least, I am talking from a social angle. I am not a sociologist, but I bring in always a social angle. I did yesterday. If you look after independence, when I was growing up as a child, I saw the dawn of independence. I was still a child, and I remembered it. And there was a feeling of pride in me. And any house you go, you will find in the drawing rooms and in the house the portrait of the national leaders. And not only Mahatma Gandhi or Jawaharlal Nehru, there are other leaders also from different states and so on.
Yeah.
Now, when in politics, the cases of corruption came, this Mundra case came up immediately. From then, a lot of other cases came up in political arena where the politicians were involved or they helped in corruption. The people lost confidence in the politicians. So that slot where the pictures of politicians used to be there, the national leaders were there, that slot became empty. a stage came when cricketers were idolized. Today they are also idolized.
Yeah.
Cricket has become a religion in this subcontinent, not
Yeah.
only in India, in this
Yeah.
subcontinent. So that slot was filled by the sports person, the cricketers and all. When match fixing started, that slot today is empty. At national scenario, you don't have a slot where you can put, he's a national hero. It's a very sad commentary on sports, and particularly cricket. I mean, today, our masses are mad after cricket and cricketers. But this match fixing, spot fixing, and all ill doings, that slot where people whom they idolize put a picture of them. I don't know whether you agree with me, the slot is today empty.
Yes, so what you're saying is true. Now, the other thing is, like in horse racing or sometimes in soccer, betting is legal.
Yeah.
And there's been a school of thought that if you make betting legal in cricket, it may be a solution. But do you think that's the right solution, or?
You see, anything which is not straightforward, which is not within the tune of the sportsmanship, I don't think that's the correct solution. A game, betting is another thing, cricket is another thing, or even any, for that purpose, any other sport is a different thing. Why should we mix anything with it? Let it remain whatever it is. So I don't agree with this, that the betting should be legalized at all. You know, people will find out ways, you know, all those criminals who are there, they find out that the police is there, you lock your houses, we have now devices, alarm bells and so on. Even then the robbery takes place, the people always find out shortcuts.
See, other major controversy which even rocked cricket very recently in Australia and South Africa is ball tampering, which has been an age-old thing. And with all technology, Australian Steve Smith, David Warner and the bowlers, all of them were really caught in it. It was quite a shameful incident. So what's your take on this? Like we have that Vaseline incidents also.
Yeah, you see, actually the cricket administrators were rather naive, I would say, or they kept a blind eye to these happenings. And in fact, when 76-77 England series, India had done pretty well in West Indies, and we were very confident. And the way they succumbed to one late evening at Firozshah Kotla to John Lever, I mean, we thought maybe he was bowling so superbly until it was noticed later on. And very rightly, Bishan Bedi is a very vociferous person. He always calls a spade, not only a spade, he calls a spade a shovel. And he raised the issue, but Indian board was not strong enough to pursue it, and the MCC played it down, and and they said the Indians are, because they are getting defeated, so they are crying, and all sorts of insinuations were made against Bishan Bedi and the Indian board. Because that time the white were still very supreme in the cricket administration. But later on, the offshoot of what was it? The offshoot was a bigger evil. That is the ball tampering. Where it started? It started in Pakistan. Imran was the master of this. He used to keep a bottle opener in his pocket. When we were going for the bowling run-up, Pijal will play this seam and then do the reverse swing. Sarfaraz was also one of the masters of reverse swing. It could not be detected. It was detected much later. So, 83 series, when you see India going to Pakistan, how badly Indians suffered with great batting line of Sunil Gavaskar. Gundappa Vishwanath became a total failure in Pakistan. And that was the end of, in fact, Gundappa Vishwanath. So, it could not be detected at that time. Much later, you detected the ball tampering. And imagine, in England, Harold, this umpire Harold, when he accused Inzamam ul Haq of Pakistan walked away from the match, what did the MCC do? You know that they have revised once again, the status of the test match. That is where you have to come strong on. It is illegal, it must be curbed, but they don't. The administration is weak. They do not take very strong action against this. And the result was that the ball tampering continued. It was undetected in Pakistan, then it went on with the others also. And latest what you saw was in Australia.
Sir, among the many other controversies in cricket, one aspect which not much highlighted but still impacted especially Indian cricket is checking. So we have this Sri Lankan player, Malinga, who is also known as Slinga by the commentators. But what is your views and take on this checking controversy?
It's more than Malinga, it was Mutaya Muralidharan, whose action was very much a suspect. Now, there are two things associated with this. One is, of course, the checking which you could see from an action. There's a book on this issue by a famous England spinner, and where he, through extensive photographs, he shows what is a fair delivery. And if you look at those photographs, and if you look at the cricket manuals, coaching manuals, it is very clear that the arm at the time of delivery should be straight, like this. If there's a twist or turn in the arm, that's an unfair delivery. That's the definition. And I've seen that book. Now, this issue has been very differentially used by the cricket administrators. Somewhere we very clearly know from a naked eye that is an unfair delivery. Some cases what they did was, whenever they thought the bowler was very effective, they thought raised a storm, a hue and cry about his bowling action. I have only one example to cite here, maybe there are others also, which I remember personally. You see, once our spin quartet, Bedi, Prasanna, Chandrasekhar, Venkat, they were down the hill. Two fast bowlers in India came up, Kapil Dev and Karsan Ghavri. Karsan Ghavri had an ability to make a ball. He used to use shoulder. For any extra pace in your bowling, you have to use your shoulder. So he was so effective that even whenever he used his shoulder, he could make a ball from the good length spot pop up. With the result, either it resulted in a snake to the wicketkeeper or it went as a lollipop to the short leg. And England, and both of them very effective. When Australians came here Kim Hughes team came, Kali West Indies team came, and Pakistan's Asif Iqbal team came. Maximum wickets were taken by Karsan Ghavri and Kapil Dev. When they went to England conditions are very conducive for fast bowling. Heavy atmosphere, on the ground also, green, everything. Ball moves both in the air and off the pitch. And Ghavri was very effective. Now they raised a hue and cry. There was a storm in the teacup that his action is illegal. Now, whenever their doubt is raised about you, you become very conscious. You know that ball which propped up required a little extra strength. So you will become cautious. So naturally, you will not be able to go all out for that ball. And that India played into the hands of the English critics. That's one instance. The other, I'm coming back to the fair delivery, which was described by this English spinner. Now, it is said that the hand should be straight at the time of delivery. This means, if you look at the classical action of any fast bowler holding, in the good old days of Ray Lindwall, Keith Miller, or whatever it is, you see that what a smooth action.
Yes.
In fact, for Michael Holding, they always say it was Rolls Royce. So much of smoothness in his action. There's nothing bending of the arm and this and that thing. Look at our spinners. The arm of Bishan Bedi. This is a poetry in action, the way it goes up and delivery of the ball. Moment you bend your elbow, that is not a fair delivery because the ball hand should go straight. Now, that is one part of the game. ICC intervened through their experts, orthopedic surgeons and maybe whoever they were there, that you can correct this action by an angle. They defined that this is the angle which could be a fair delivery, this is an angle which is an unfair delivery. Okay. Harbhajan Singh, Mutaya Muralidharan, Pakistan also, lot of off spinners, they were also they were called chuckers, and they went back to the same treatment and they were declared. I feel that you have evolved something to make an unfair thing fair.
Okay.
The basics of definition of law of coaching you have defied it, you have grounded it. There was no question of illegal delivery as long as the hand was up. I am with due respects to Muthaiya Muralidharan. And when I talk to Bishan Bedi or these people say, yes, they befooled the cricket world. How can it be unfair delivery if you are delivering a ball from here? You may be a great spinner, whatever it is, but it's not a fair delivery. So that is where the administrators are. And again, as I talked yesterday about the Duckworth-Lewis method, you want to make this game great global sport. Why are you introducing all these technical things? Leave it to the umpire, let him. Harold called him, Muthaiya Muralidharan, you people all made a hue and cry. Then we bring in the issue that white men are dealing with a brown man or a black man like this. Let's keep the game straightforward. Deliver straight. Fair delivery is the one when the hand goes up and from there the ball is delivered straight. That's the end of the story. Everything else is unfair. My thinking is very clear on this issue.
Thank you very much, Professor Padma Shri Ravi Chaturvedi, for talking to us about cricket and its controversies.